I wanted to address this comment because I know for a fact you are not the only one that is feeling this way. The gap feels so wide. I feel disconnected from everyone. My life feels like it's just been so much hard work. I just want to leave the earth more than ever. I'm trying not to think this way, but I can't help it. So I want to just offer some love and compassion. I see you. And a little bit of guidance in a more general sense, because of course, without us actually meeting in a session, I don't actually know what the ingredients of your life are. But I just want to say that SI, not wanting to be here and having the ideations around that, is very, very common in the spiritual awakening community. It is something, gratefully, I no longer struggle with. However, I did very, very intensely for a number of years. So I understand what it feels like to feel that way. I understand what it feels like to dip your toe into that space, into those thoughts and ideations, and to really feel that you are in such a state of despair that that is the only logical answer. To be frightened by yourself that you would even have that as the observer of self. It just becomes a big, messy, emotional, dense place to be. And I completely understand. Here's what I can offer. Ultimately, you have to choose to want to be here. You have to be willing to face all the stories, all the pity, all of the judgment, all of the hard that you have been through, and have some other version of you face all of that and say, yes, that is true, and I choose to be here. I choose to see what is going to come of all of the hardship and the work that I have done on myself and the experiences that I have endured. The universe only knows balance, and there is another side to all of this that I am yet to experience, and I want to be here for that. You have to choose. The other piece to this is that while I don't get into it in too much depth, because there are so many different versions of entities that, could still be being fed on this planet at this time, while the greater amount of the degree of work of removing all of these forms of consciousness has already been done, removing those that are of the light through energetic, malevolent infiltration is still a thing. And as soon as you dip your toe into those types of thoughts of not wanting to be here, you are also opening the door and inviting in malevolence and interference that is going to make it harder and harder for you to choose to stay. So, not to frighten you, because it is a dance of deeply honoring and being mindful. The more you resist allowing yourself to feel the depths of despair that are allowing the energies to move and leave your body, the more persistent it will become. So it is important that you not try so hard to not think of these things, but to give yourself permission to be authentic, raw, real, and vulnerable when that feeling of utter and complete defeat and despair comes up. While at the same time, you have to be mindful of where you are creating momentum. And with this, I would offer that you just get more precise with your language. And that may be that instead of going to certain thoughts and words that lead more in the direction of what I'm calling for the purpose of this video SI or S ideation, that you just deeply honor how you actually feel with more preciseness. I feel like this is so challenging, that this is so hard. I am not sure how much more of this that I can do without fully extending yourself and anchoring yourself into something that is of a very dense nature. That is one one way to approach it, because you do need to entertain, to observe, to hold space for the density that is presenting at any given point in time. Now, the other piece to this to be mindful of is what version of you is feeling this way. Because as more and more layers of the ego, and we are going very deep now, more and more layers of the identity, personality, and ego that are shed, the more palpable it not being here and it not being able to go on anymore, the more loud and more palpable that becomes. So what version of you is actually saying, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. This is all just too hard. I've had enough, and therefore the one linear solution is this thing. So be mindful of that as well, that while it may feel very real and very loud and very palpable in some ways, that there is a piece of you that is dying off or shedding, that very well could be the ego that is narrating the experience, which is actually just a shedding of the ego that is allowing more of the authentic self to come online. So there's a number of different ways to look at this. I don't personally know you. I'm not only speaking to you through this video, but I do have had conversations with clients, even recently, that are struggling, dancing with, and somewhat ashamed of the fact that they're having this tug of war feeling with whether they want to be here or not be here. And really it is just the ego self that is engaging in that dance and that is making the narration very, very loud. So be mindful of what you're inviting in by playing in certain ideations or certain consciousness. Be real and raw with yourself while observing where you're creating momentum, and also understand that it is the ego that is just getting very, very loud as it itself is being pulled away from the consciousness that is being birthed from within you at a much higher frequency. It's not easy to go through. Reach out if you feel you need more support. Again, not just to this commenter, but to anyone that feels touched or can relate to this conversation. You are loved and you are supported beyond the ways that you can even realize or connect with when you feel like you were in your darkest place. I'm sending you so much love and compassion. Until next time.